If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses, plus free delivery when you add a base. Ends Monday. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life's sleep.
I'm here on the job site with Dale, who's a framing contractor.
Hey, good morning.
Dale traded up to Geico Commercial Auto Insurance for all his business vehicles. We're here where he needs us most.
Yep, they sure are.
We make it easy for him to save on all his insurance needs, all in one place, with coverage that fits his business and bottom line. Oh, I shouldn't have looked down.
It's all right.
We're so far up here.
Look at me. Take a deep breath.
No, I'm good. So good.
Get a commercial auto insurance quote today at geico.com and see how much you could save. It feels good to Geico.
It's time to get your morning started with the news you need to know.
News update.
This is what's trending with DJ and PK. Hashtag NBA.
The Knicks win Game 2. They are halfway through the conference final, halfway to their first trip to the NBA Finals since 1999. And PK, that third quarter run, I was waiting for the Cavs to punch back. Tie game at 53 and then like 18 in a row for the Knicks. Certainly 15 in a row. And the Cavs didn't really make a good run after that. They tightened the game up a little bit, but it never felt like they were going to win it.
Yeah, I think it was literally an 18-0 run. They were stuck on 53 for way too long.
Yep.
Exactly, DJ. And it reminded me of Game 1 down the stretch. They couldn't get in a bucket and they couldn't get stops. So you can take a synopsis of each of those games and have a 48-minute game. And obviously it went overtime in the first game, so add extra time to that. But there was a portion of it where everything that they tried to do just didn't work. And they got blown away, and they never really totally felt like they were going to make a run or a threat to get it down to a 2-possession game, 5 points, whatever. And they just had nobody who played beyond what they're capable of, and several guys played below what they're capable of. And they've been relying on Sam and Strus to come off the bench and put in some points. And I think those two were combined 2 of 15. And then Josh Hart had a real phenomenal game, and the rest of the Knicks sort of did what they did, and that puts them up 2-0. And in the best of 7, obviously, if you're down 2-0 and got to win 4 out of 5, it's going to be tough.
Yeah. It's not about Harden, it's about the move. And I realize those things are hard to separate, but when you move a major piece of a team, as Cleveland did with Harden, but there are a lot of other examples. It could be, it might not even be a trade. It could be, Boston welcoming back a star player a little early, but now you got to integrate him into the lineup. It could be Jordan coming back from baseball, and you got to integrate him into a team with, I think he came back with like 20 games left in the season, something like that. Clyde Drexler did get traded to Houston, and they were the defending champs, and they did win it again. But I think most of the time you see those big midseason deals, it just takes another year. If it's going to work, it's going to take another year. And then you can get into Harden shot selection. Is he two-ball dominant? All that. I just think integrating somebody who's going to have the ball in their hands that much is hard for any NBA team. And I think it's finally showing up with the Cavs. They did a good job of winning 2 Game 7s to get here. It is a big ask now. And I do wonder right now, can they get Allen and Mobley going? Because those guys, they're on a lot of teams that match up with both those guys. And it's hard for everybody to get shots and everybody to have the ball, and there's a balance to strike and a rhythm to maintain, and all those things are hard to do. But I really like the size and athleticism of those 2 games, but it does seem like they disappear in games. And there are times I think, can you guys take over a little bit? And they're big guys. They don't get to start the offense. People have to get them the ball. And I know it's not that simple, but I thought they were pretty quiet. And it feels like that's just a matchup advantage for them in most games. There aren't a lot of teams who match up with those guys. You might match up with the perimeter guys because that's more positionless. But, man, when you don't have the size and 2 guys are inside, they had one play. I can't even remember now if Mobley found Allen or if Allen found Mobley. But one guy's at the free throw line, and he took one dribble in the paint like he's going to go dunk, and the defense came to him, slipped the ball to the other guy for an easy lay-in. I'm like, there are a lot of teams that can do that. It's an advantage. And we'll see. Maybe they'll shoot it better when they get home. Sam Merrill was, 0 for 7 from 3, so most of those were in the first half.
I don't know that I would count on Allen to provide much offense. I think he's more of a defensive guy.
Yeah.
Mobley's got some more offensive skill there. But, if you want to step back and look, Harden there, they've gotten to where they've never gone. So if you want to look at it from that perspective, it is successful. It's just that how much longer does he have? Is this something that you can build upon for next year when he's 37 years old? I'm not sure.
Yeah. Allen did go 13 and 10. It's not like he had a bad game, right? And maybe it's just
just not a big offensive threat. He's so long and stuff. He can do things in that his length allows him to, but I don't think he's a 25-point guy.
And are there enough shots to go around for Mitchell and Harden and Mobley and Allen too? He's going to be limited in that regard also. So, all right, tonight is Game 3, Western Finals, Oklahoma City and San Antonio. I'm looking forward to this, PK. The first 2 games of this series did not disappoint. Thought they were pretty evenly matched. It's 1-1. I will not be surprised if we come back here Monday morning and it's 2-2. It's really what I'm expecting.
Well, I won't be surprised tomorrow if I wake
Tuesday
up and
morning.
it's 2-1.
Yeah, okay, nice. That's bravo. Well done. We'll be back here Tuesday morning. Holiday weekend.
Correct.
Spurs are already without De'Aaron Fox due to an ankle sprain. Could be without Dylan Harper tonight. He suffered the hamstring injury in Game 2 and needs to undergo an MRI. We'll find out probably later today, but if I had to guess right now, doesn't look good.
Yeah, and we'll see what the Thunder with Jalen Williams, who's been injured most of the season, off and on.
Yeah, he only played 7 minutes that game. And Mitchell went down and grabbed his groin, so we'll see if that was something major, if he's out, and how many guys are going down in this series, getting knocked out? LeBron James on the Lakers on a podcast at a week later, he says, I feel like we were just out-talented by OKC. They just possess so much more talent. At the end of the day, we failed in talent. You can tip your cap to them, obviously, and understand that, but you can't get caught up in that, especially when you know you're undermanned.
Well, yeah, Doncic didn't play. He didn't play 1 second. So... And you can argue that they weren't going to beat him without him. We'll never know, obviously, but clearly, that's dog bites man, duh.
As far as, is he moving on from L.A.? Is he going to retire? Is he going to go somewhere else in the league? I'm still in the moment, just taking my time. I haven't really thought about it too much. Obviously, I understand I'm a free agent and I can control my own destiny. Being here with the Lakers for the foreseeable future, but somewhere else. I think at some point in June, late June, as July rolls around, free agent starts to get going. Maybe into August, we'll start to get a kind of feel for what my future may look like. August.
Utah.
Go to a good team on a minimum and give him a title. He probably don't want to go anywhere on a minimum. That's a fan talking right there. All right, DJ and PK.
#NFL.
There are golden parachutes, PK. On your way out the door, they give you the gold, and the Rams give Matthew Stafford a 1-year, $55 million extension. So he's got 2 years on his deal with the franchise, worth a total of $105 million. How about that for a pile of cash?
Yeah, I don't think that the Rams are really sacrificing too much, because if he's good enough, you'll get that back. And then if he's not and he wants to retire, well, then you're not on the hook for it. I don't know that the whole thing is guaranteed. And he's turning 38, I think it is. And so they have this opportunity to see what he does in the 26th season. And if he can stay healthy, it didn't look like at the 25 season that he had really slipped that much, or even noticeably. They would know, obviously, a million times more than I would. So I see it as a very little risk proposition there.
When you say they'll get it back, are you talking in the sense of selling tickets and luxury suites? Or are you talking in the sense of going back to the Super Bowl?
Well, one
or
leads
both
to the other, right? If you're going to have a successful season, and really, I know the Rams have been talking about when they play, as teams in our side of the country do, you end up with fans from the other teams. but they pay money too. And so at least, from a financial standpoint, I realize, and the Cardinals deal with that all the time when Green Bay or Chicago or whomever comes in, there's so many fans from the other team. And I get that. That's an irritant, but I'm just talking financially, their money counts. So I don't think it's an unwise investment if he plays well. If he doesn't, he may decide, hey, I've had enough. If he gets banged up 3 or 4 times and his body just says, come on, this is plenty. We're done here. We're pushing 40. So we'll have to see how it is. And they don't have a quarterback ready to go that could step in immediately. They drafted somebody. Who was it?
His backup is going to be Ty Simpson.
Right, the Alabama kid. And so he has an opportunity to learn a little bit here. So at least for this year, and then if it goes into next year too, and Matthew is playing well, that's a good thing, and it allows Ty more opportunity to develop and watch and so forth. So you could see it's a smooth transition. When I saw this yesterday, the first thing I thought to myself was, oh yeah, that makes sense.
At $55 million, that's a lot of your cap space, and there's probably ballpark 10, 11 guys in the league who are over $50 million, and it's a 50-50 proposition on whether giving a QB that money gets you the playoffs. He's a pretty good bet in that regard because obviously you can look at his track record. Trevor Lawrence, Tua Tagovailoa, we know Miami let him go now. Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, they're guys who have made the playoffs but then missed them last year. So it's a little iffy once you start giving a quarterback that kind of money. You better get it right.
But what else are they going to do? He has some leverage here.
Does.
He can use retirement as an opportunity to gain some more money if that's what he's looking for and his agent is looking for. When healthy, I think he is minimally a borderline Hall of Fame quarterback.
What he's been doing there in their track record, his contract was worth in the 40s. Now, obviously, it's been going up, and now they give him this extension. So he's had a lot of success there, but now they got 10 or 12 more million bucks they're spending on a QB that they can't spend somewhere else. They get a little break because the cap is going up. So that's part of it. Chicago Bears reiterated that they plan to leave Soldier Field and the city of Chicago. Their 2 options, because you got to have leverage, are Hammond, Indiana, or suburban Illinois, where they bought the former Arlington Heights racetrack, which, of course, is what the Rams did. They bought a racetrack that closed in L.A. to get a big enough piece of property to build their stadium and to build a whole entertainment district around it. That's where the Clippers' new stadium is, on that same piece of property. So it's a similar plan if they do that. And it's not that different. I mean, Arizona went to Glendale, right, at a point when that was on the edge of town and kind of wide open, and now everything's grown up around it. Decade later.
Yeah, I think the Hammond Hoosiers sounds pretty good to me.
It is across the state line. Still the metropolitan area spilling out, but it's a ways away.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like the Jets and the Giants.
Right. DJ and PK.
Hashtag college football.
Brian Seeley, CEO of the 11-month-old College Sports Commission, said he's actually heard more good feedback than bad as he started making the rounds at league meetings. But he says there is a lot of people grousing about his and the CSC's role. I was hired to launch the CSC and enforce the rules as written. It's totally fine with us if the rules end up changing, if there's consensus to change those rules. But until that happens, we're going to enforce the rules as written, and that's what we were told to do. Yeah, he's in a tough spot here because the group says they want rules, but people also want to win, and they're looking for an edge, so everybody's pushing the envelope, so they don't really want the rules. I mean, the NCAA is an association of all the schools. Now the CSC is an association of all the schools. It feels like they're having the same kind of problems for the same reasons.
Well, I don't think that at any decade you could go in and not say the same thing.
I agree, yeah.
College sports is a big ball of contradiction. I mean, the winning that is involved and the connection that big-time alumni have and the pressure that these coaches are under to try to win, and there's an opportunity to cut a corner, to break a rule, and some of the rules are archaic anyway. And so we just go on, and away we go. And at least from the football perspective, we go doom and gloom. And you know how I hate that, because it seems like, and if you judge ratings and whatnot, it seems like college football is on top of the world, but yet everybody tells us it's a mess.
Well, we've been told baseball has doom and gloom, and look, it's emerged from whatever gloom was real, and there was probably a portion of it that was real, but it was way overstated, and they've even emerged from that portion. They got new momentum. This decade feels way different than the last one. Tweak the rules. They certainly got some energy from that. They have another round of good young players. The doom and gloom.
You're talking about MLB?
Yeah, I'm talking about MLB. It goes back to what you were talking about the other day. Like when people tell you, they go all Chicken Little, the sky is falling. Like there are real problems, and problems need to be addressed. But it doesn't mean the end of everything. It's not that, But in a hot take world, sometimes that's, people can stand out by pushing that. Whether they're a commissioner, a team president, a politician, a sportscaster, a random influencer on social media. It doesn't matter. You can get traction in any of those places sometimes with that.
Yeah, no doubt. No about that. And sometimes hot takes can be totally taken out of context, and we'll get to that at 7:45.
All right. I look forward to that. DJ and PK.
Hashtag Major League Baseball.
Well, some of the big names are back and some aren't, PK. For the Yankees, they get Garrett Cole, scheduled to make his return to action from Tommy John surgery, facing Tampa Bay. Beware of the beast. Look at the Rays. First pitch set for 5 o'clock. That's a big game in that division.
Absolutely it is. Yeah, sure. And Tampa Bay, we talked about it yesterday. They're second or third from the bottom, I think, in the payroll. And then they just keep winning. Man, it's just amazing.
In the short run, it's 4 in a row, but their bigger hot streak, which dates back to mid to late April, they were 12-11 after they lost a couple games to Cincinnati, and they salvaged the season or the series finale, and since then, 21-4. Yikes! 21-4. Garrett Cole, good luck. It's the first place Rays, 4.5 games up on the second place Yankees, so a big game in the AL East.
Yeah, and Aaron Judge is slumping right now. He had the golden sombrero 2 nights ago, and then last night the whole team didn't even score.
Tigers ace Tariq Skubal completing his third bullpen session since undergoing surgery to remove loose bodies in his pitching elbow. He and the team have no definitive timeline on his return to action. So put him on hold.
Well, I think I'd rather have loose bodies in my elbow than loose elbows in my body.
Okay, sure. Silver lining there. Yeah.
Right? Could you imagine loose elbows? I mean, Victor Wembanyama with his loose elbow, man, he could kill you.
Tigers got beat by Cleveland 3-1 last night. The Yankee game you referenced, 2-0 the Blue Jays over the Yankees there. The Athletics needed 10 innings to beat the Angels, but they got it done. The Athletics, who had been terrible, are now 50 games in, and they got a winning record, 26-24 after that 3-2 win. Angels, meanwhile, are terrible, 17-34. They're down there in the old Chicago White Sox territory. The White Sox are out of that realm now. They're much better. But the Angels are there near the bottom, about as far down as you can go.
That Sacramento wants in on the expansion possibilities.
Yes, I did. I did see that. The Athletics' $2 billion dome stadium on the Vegas Strip is taking shape with the lower bowl closing in on completion. Officials said the project remains on schedule to open before the 2028 season. And as far as Sacramento wants in, I get that. But we both lived in California for a long time, and it is hard to get public money to build a stadium there. It is much easier in other places. And Sacramento, once upon a time, tried to do that to get the Raiders, even started digging a hole and pouring concrete. See, we're doing it. Just give us a little more money, and we'll finish it. And then it didn't, and it just sat there as a hole in the ground with concrete in it for a while. And that story hasn't been repeated that dramatically, but there have been struggles in San Diego, L.A., and San Francisco at times building things. So I'm sure they want it. I don't doubt that. And they've got the size. It's a big metropolitan area. It's sprawling. Yeah. But I don't know if they can put a stadium together.
Isn't that at its core, every building that's made of concrete, simply concrete with a hole in the ground?
Yeah, but usually you have the whole thing financed when you get to that point. And usually you keep going and you build and the building rises against the skyline and all that, and this one didn't. It just sat there as a hole in the ground.
Don't push against the momentum. That is, what is that called? Major League Baseball Utah? What's that group called?
Big League Utah.
Big League Utah, yeah.
Big League. I knew it wasn't Major League. Big League Utah. Yeah, we got the momentum. We got the financing. We got the land.
Yep.
We got the beat.
Old school. Bees beat Tacoma 8-3. They play again tonight at 6:35. You can get out to the ballpark, and if not, you can listen to Tony Parks on 1280 The Zone. DJ and PK.
Hashtag RSL.
Last game before a long World Cup break for Real Salt Lake. They're in Minnesota. Tomorrow, first kick is set for 2:30 at Allianz Field, and coverage on the KSL Sports Zone will begin at 1:30 with the RSL pre-match show. They are flying high, just picked up back-to-back home wins. They're sitting in third place in the West, and Pablo Mastroeni will be here at 8 o'clock to talk about the final game before the long World Cup break.
Now, usually when there's a big break, the announcers usually take off to exotic lands. I mean, I literally have been in Cancun with David Locke during the break. So which island are you going to?
The plan was literally to go to Oahu, but events have intervened, and we will not be traveling, at least in the early part of the summer. So
Acapulco now?
No. The gorgeous Wasatch Front, PK, staycation for us.
Well, that's a nice time to be here.
I agree. It is. Summers are spectacular.
I'll go for you.
That's very selfless of you, PK. Say hi to my aunts and uncles and my cousins and their kids, okay?
Yeah, we'll do.
Literally, our oldest kid will go for us. We were hoping to go to. He's gonna go out there and see the family. So
cool.
Utah Royals try to extend their 8-match unbeaten streak against the Denver Summit. First kick, 4:30 American Field. Coverage on 1280 The Zone starts at 4 o'clock. Coming up tomorrow. There you go. DJ and PK.
Hashtag NHL.
Montreal Canadiens blowing out Carolina 6-2 in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Tonight's Game 2 in the West. So the two big dogs, PK, Carolina and Colorado, both stormed through the first two rounds. Both had the best regular season records in their conferences, and both have now lost the opening game at home. I mean, there's a long way to go, but no, starting off on the wrong foot.
Yeah, force me to take, I would still go with the big dogs, as you say. Yeah. And so we'll see. As I said with the Cleveland Cavaliers, you get down 0-2. Obviously, you got to win 4 out of 5. It's not impossible. Many have done it. But the task becomes extremely much more difficult than it was if it's just 1-1. 1-1, I think. When you're 1-1 in a series, it's probably okay. And unless it's like there was just several years back when Mitchell didn't play in that Game 1 and they lost to Memphis.
It was full.
And then they came back and won the second one. It was 1-1, but we never really felt like, okay, that's going to be much of a series, and it wasn't. But that's a 1 versus 8. We're much more along in the playoffs than that.
Yep. Okay, Game 2 tonight, Vegas, Colorado. That's 6 o'clock on ESPN. What is Trending is brought to you by Shamrock Plumbing. There's no job too big or too small. Get the personal touch with Shamrock Plumbing. All right, coming up next, Steve Sarkisian firing off. Oh, he didn't say Texas Tech, but he meant Texas Tech, the SEC, looking down its nose at the Big 12. How dare they, PK? We'll get to that next. David Locke is here at 8:30, Pablo's at 8, and Chris Cartman, Sun Devil Source and 24/7 Sports, is here at 9 o'clock for our spring football tour. Stay with us.
3, 2, 1. This is Scotty G and Coach Tim LeComb.
Look, I remember the early days of Shaq. If you're kids these days, you just only know Shaq from inside the NBA, or maybe the later years when he was hopping team to team and was a little out of shape and bigger than he needed to be. You go back and you watch those early 1, 2, 3 years when he was in Orlando, when he was svelte, and that dude, you watched him, you're like, he's changing the game. Shaq changed the game.
With sheer force, and you're exactly right, there was a revolution when Shaq came, no question.
And what we're seeing now is Wemby doing that. Wemby is changing the game of basketball. Not that you can replicate it, because you can't. You can't replicate Wemby, or we'd all be trying to go to the DNA, the dinosaur DNA with the old dude on the island and trying to recreate. You can't. That dude is one of one.
Welcome to Jurassic Park. Catch Scotty G and Coach weekdays from 10 to 2. Presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses, plus free delivery when you add a base. Ends Monday. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
The KSL Sports Zone and Beehive Meals are honoring people that impact youth sports in our communities. Nominate the youth sports volunteer you know for the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week. KSLSports.com/contest and listen every Thursday afternoon to Jake and Ben for the winner. It's the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week. Steve Sarkisian, presumably referring to Texas Tech, says Texas backups would probably go undefeated playing Tech's schedule this year. How about that? Oh, yeah, win that league with the 2s and 3s, PK. What a horrible take.
Why is it a horrible take?
Because he's not going to win the league with the 2s and 3s. Texas in the league for the last decade they were in the league. They went like 51-38 with one league title.
He also lost 10.
Sarkisian wasn't there the whole time.
Okay, so Sarkisian's there now. He faces the Big 12 champion in the college football playoffs. You got your guys. Everybody's going full speed. And congratulations to Texas. They won in overtime. In overtime. You're not winning that league and going undefeated with your 2s and 3s.
He also won 17-10 while in the Big 12 as their head coach.
And he would say that he's ramped his program up since then.
Well, he has. I mean, he took off our program. It wasn't that the coach was promoted or retired on a high. When you're replacing coaches that have been fired because of losing, and it's hard to walk on water and have immediate success in the SEC, no less. And I realized at the start that wasn't the case. I don't think he means that literally, so I'm not going to hold him to the literal 2s and 3s as far as that goes. I think he's trying to make a point that, hey, we're all fighting for the same thing here, but we all are at different levels. I mean, if he chose Texas Tech because they're sort of the new kid on the block, the upstart with all the money, right? Not that Texas lacks money for sure. That's not the point. It's just that that's sort of local. I mean, would you have been outraged if he had said James Madison, for instance, or Tulane? But they're not in the state. I think the point he's trying to make is we're fighting for these 12 spots, and there are such uneven amounts of playing fields that it's sort of ridiculous in that way. We're all not in the same pot doing the same thing. I think that was the point, not literally that he could put his 3s out there and win the Big 12. I don't think that that's what the point that he was trying to make. I think it was a much bigger point. So I'm not going to hold him accountable. Put your 3s out there and let's go. I don't think that that's it. The point that he's making is much bigger than that. And there is some validity. Kyle Whittingham talked about for years, hey, if we're going to have a playoff and we're all going to strive for the same thing, then you've got some schools, some conferences playing 8 games, others playing 9, and that 9th game could make the difference between you getting in and not getting in. I think that's the issue.
I think it goes to, and I'll buy your point, okay, it wasn't literal. The problem is it'll stick. Even though it wasn't initially literal, the whole point is we're so good in the SEC and you're just you. I mean, it's a classic look down your nose comment. And the SEC was all that until 3 years ago when everybody started paying big NIL money. And the last 3 years, it's shown up, and you can slice and dice this so many ways. And last year, he was bitter he wasn't in the playoffs. Well, you lost to a Florida team that went 4-8. They were 3-8 against everybody else.
What conference are they in? They're in the SEC.
Florida lost to South Florida, who's not in the SEC. LSU is a big game.
And at that point, you can have Grand Canyon winning the national championship if you want to hopscotch. This team beat that team. This team beat this team. You can do that forever and a day. We
But
know that.
It's not just South Florida. There were a whole string of bad results. The SEC lost to Memphis. The SEC lost to South Florida. LSU scraped out a 13-10 win over Western Kentucky. Don't tell me you're special. In the last 3 years, they're 2-8 in the playoffs when they're not playing a G4 team or each other. When they're playing each other and the G4 team, you add those games in, they're 5-10. That's not special. Now, Sark, to spin the argument, he's got the 2 and the 2-8. So maybe it's not the whole SEC and he can try to stand apart from the SEC because one year they did win 2 games and they did beat ASU in overtime. I just don't see the big separation. I don't see the SEC dominating people in the non-conference. I don't see them dominating in the playoffs. I didn't see that school, granted, different times, different rules, but I didn't see Texas dominating when they were in the Big 12. I don't see why he gets to look down the nose at him, except for we won a lot of BCS title games when we were the only one paying cash.
Who is the better conference, the SEC or the Big 12?
The SEC, by a narrow margin. By a narrow margin.
Yeah. I mean, that's dependent. I mean, who has more guys drafted? I mean, whatever.
Right. The more guys drafted, and I think there's 3 teams at the top of the Big 12 that have really, last year's a great example, they really handled the Big 12. The year before that, ASU had a big season and won it. We'll see if they can sustain it. It doesn't look like Colorado can sustain what they had. And I think the top of the SEC is probably about a half dozen schools out of their 16.
Sure,
and so
that's all you need, though.
Yeah, so 6-3 or 6-4. But Texas Tech, you'd run over their schedule. Tech did play the top of the league and went 3-0 and looked awesome against the top of the league.
And
they
then
looked terrible against Oregon.
A point.
I know they looked terrible against Oregon.
Come on. So, I mean, he's got credibility in what he says.
Oregon.
It's just that it's harsh, and we want to stick up for the Big 12 because they're the hometown conference. But step back from that, and I don't need – obviously, we got guys over here pulling stuff that I say, so it's not going to make me look good. I get that, and so I'm the one with the hot take, and I got to take the heat, even if it's taken out of context. If you look at it, his conference is harder to win than the Big 12. And so it's harder for an SEC team to get to the playoff than it is a Texas Tech team.
No, that's the part. Because they are given because of that, and because I do buy into that a bit, they get more bids. They had teams in. They have 3 or 4 teams last year. Georgia was in. Alabama played Oklahoma. Am I leaving somebody out? I can't remember. They got 3 or 4 teams in, and the Big 12 got 1 in. Why is he complaining about the one who got in? Because that's what he's doing. He's complaining about Tech.
Because they're the ones down the street and people in his environment, in his neighborhood, so to speak, metaphorically, they're talking about, well, look at them. They did it. That's if he were in the Big 10, he would say, well, look at Indiana. They did it. They're the upstart, and you're the legendary program. And so I'm trying to look at it from his perspective, not necessarily that I agree with him. Heavens, I'm not saying that. So hopefully they don't run that out and put that out there to say that I agree with him. But I'm trying to look at it from his perspective, not just take shots and look at me. I'm going to carry the banner for the Big 12 because BYU and Utah are in there, so that's going to make me popular. No, that's not what I do. I'm trying to look at it from his perspective. Texas probably taken heat in the state because of Cody Campbell and the amount of money that has been dumped into that program, which hadn't won anything. Texas Tech, right? Joey McGuire is Urban Meyer. Utah hadn't won anything in 50 years, and Urban Meyer comes in and he gets them conference titles, right? And so Joey McGuire, Texas Tech hadn't won anything in 80 years, and he comes in there on the backs of Cody Campbell and the other guy, Sellers, I think his name is, and they got all this money. They go out and they buy a guy like Bailey, who was not even thinking about Texas Tech until they said, hey, please, just please consider it. And then he sees the money, and all of a sudden, man, go Tech. I'm a Red Raider through and through for a few months so I can cash the check. I mean, come on. And so obviously he's going to say, from Sarkisian's going to say, hey, wait a second here. Look what they're doing. That's outrageous. And they're doing it in an easier conference. You can say it's this or that, but the conference, it's easier to win the Big 12 than it is to finish third in the SEC. That's what he's saying. Now, do I agree with it? Well, I'd have to investigate it, but I'm not going to investigate it. I'm interested in the fun and games of all sports. That's what I want. I'll leave that up to you. Gratefully, and I mean this literally gratefully, you'll look at the numbers because that's what you do. And so I look at it from the emotional and the fun standpoint. That's what he's saying. We can go back and forth. And the way I look at stuff like Jordan or LeBron, well, who's better? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, I boil it down to the simplest common denominator. The game's on the line. Who do I want taking the last shot? Do I want LeBron or do I want Jordan? I want Jordan. That settles it for me. I don't need to have all this other, well, he played here and blah, 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 blah. You could spin yourself in a top going about 1,000 feet into the earth if you wanted to do that. So I think that's what he's saying. It's harder to finish third or second than it is to get the automatic bid in the Big 12, particularly with this new kid who really hasn't done anything except spend a whole heck of a lot of money and buy talent. That's the essence of Texas Tech, and good on them because they're not going against the rules. But the fact is, they didn't earn anything. They bought everything.
Texas Tech buys everything. Texas Tech does buy a lot of stuff, but Texas buys a lot of stuff too. So to me, that's a wash. Yeah. I agree with you totally that he's feeling the heat. And the reason I look stuff up is because my memory fails me. I just debated with myself. I know. I just debated with myself. Did they get 3 or 4 bids? I looked it up. They got 5. So they got 5 bids. He tied for 5th. Mm-hmm. He lost to Florida. He can be bitter about A&M getting in, and A&M beat Notre Dame, and you lost to Ohio State, and they didn't lose their Florida-type game, and you did. And so your reaction is like, well, we got 5 and they got 1. Let's take their 1 away. No,
I don't think he's saying that. He's not saying take it away.
He didn't pick on A&M, and he didn't pick on Ole Miss, and he didn't pick on Georgia. He picked on Texas Tech.
They're in his conference, so of course he's not going to do that.
I know, but I think that those two leagues, the SEC and the Big Ten, going off and doing a playoff and leaving a Big 12 behind is a real threat. And when I hear what he says, regardless of what he meant, and I am totally on board with, he may not mean what I'm hearing. That happens all the time. It happens to us as hosts. I think you think it happened to you super recently. So I get that happens. And it might be happening to him right now. But what I heard was, we're the SEC and you're the Big 12. Okay. We got 5 bids and that's not enough. We need your bid.
Well, it wasn't
too.
Enough. He wanted in.
That's exactly it. And I reject that. I think 5 was enough. Sure. I look what you did with the 5, and that wasn't good enough. There were 12 spots in the field. You got 5 of them, and you largely fell on your face.
I don't disagree with you.
They also dismissed the ACC the way they dismissed the Big 12. And while Texas Tech did not cover itself in glory, getting shut out 23-0, and we both watched that game, and we agree there was no call. There was nothing that could save them. Oregon was way better, right? But at the same time, Miami, and there were plenty of people complaining about Miami getting in. Miami got in and won 3 times, beat an SEC team on the road, and Texas A&M held them to 3 points. Not like A&M covered themselves in glory. Beat Ole Miss on a neutral field, and then pushed Indiana and lost a really close game in the title game. And I think the SEC would take the ACC's bid away in a heartbeat. I agree. Texas Tech's in the backyard, so he's complaining about Tech not Miami.
And the Big 12 would take the SEC's bids in a heartbeat. So they're no different there. You're acting like he's on some mount by himself.
Well, because Joey McGuire didn't come out and say it, and Sarkisian
did. Well, you don't pick a fight if you don't have to, right? So why would he have to?
He got in.
Joey McGuire is loving life and living life to the fullest because of the bank account. So he's not going to respond. He's not going to say anything.
Do you think he feels a little bit of pressure?
No more pressure than anybody else feels.
Well, Sarkisian. Does he feel more than Sarkisian? Because I think privately, Cody's looking at him. Cody did not like 23-0 in the playoff. So,
yeah, but see, I think you're living in the past here. This is politics. And Sarkisian isn't the first coach to start politicking. That's all he's doing right now. Is he's not worried about what happened in December and January. He's politicking for the 26 playoff. And that has happened a million times over. They all do that. Right? They politic like crazy to get in because it's a beauty contest. It's not like the NFL. That's why I was so jacked about the Utes going to the Rose Bowl, because Kyle didn't have to politic. All he had to do was kick the crap out of Oregon, kick the crap out of USC, and you're in. You don't have to degrade yourself and become a two-bit politician that tells us, and what is politics? The other guy sucks. You listen to politicians, and within 2 seconds, they're telling you about how the other guy sucks. That's what they do. They don't tell you how good they are. They tell you that the other guy's a bum and the world is going to end. Democracy as we know it is going to perish. You'll have no freedoms. They'll come into your house and take you out and throw you wherever. That's politics. College football playoff, except for the automatics, they are politics. So he's starting his political campaign for the 26th season in May. From that perspective, it's actually genius, because people around the country in markets where the NFL isn't king, or you don't have MLB, or your NHL or NBA team isn't in the playoff, what are they doing this morning? They're talking about what Sarkisian said. And so from that perspective, it's genius of what he did. I'm not going to just wrestle in the nuts and bolts of what he said. I'm going to step back and think, wow, that was pretty smart. It's not whether I agree with it or not. That's not the point. I don't care whether I don't even care whether I agree with it or not, let alone if somebody else should. It's he's starting the campaign for the 26th season. Don't give the Big 12 a second bid. Our teams would kill those guys. We're way better. Whether he is or isn't, it doesn't matter. It's a campaign. We'll never know, because the 2s and 3s won't line up against Texas Tech.
DJ PK, Pablo Mastroeni at the top of the 8 o'clock hour, David Locke at 8:30, and spring football with Arizona State at 9 o'clock, and Chris Cartman joins us. So stay with us right here on The Zone.
Ready or not, summer is coming, and Wayfair's Memorial Day clearance is on now. Right now through May 25th, get up to 70% off everything home at Wayfair. Plus, score amazing doorbuster deals all sale long and surprise flash deals on Memorial Day. We're talking thousands of products at every style and budget. Now is the time to save big on must-haves for your patio, backyard, and beyond. These savings won't last, so don't wait. Shop Wayfair's Memorial Day clearance now through May 25th.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
I sold my car in Carvana last night.
Well, that's cool.
No, you don't understand. It went perfectly. Real offer, down to the penny. They're picking it up tomorrow. Nothing went wrong.
So, what's the problem?
That is the problem. Nothing in my life goes as smoothly. I'm waiting for the catch.
Maybe there's no catch.
That's exactly what a catch would want me to think.
Wow, you need to relax.
I need to knock on wood. Do we have wood? Is this table wood?
I think it's laminate.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's close enough.
Car selling without a catch. Sell your car today on
Carvana.
Pickup fees may apply.
DJ PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. PK.
Yeah.
Lauri Markkanen, you have something to say.
Yeah, Lauri Markkanen did not sit out because he wanted to sit out. I understand fully that most of the times he sat out last year and in prior years is because the Jazz wanted him to, so they can get the pick, the very pick that they have this year. And I use Lauri as an example because until Jaren Jackson got here, without a doubt, Lauri Markkanen has been the best player on the team for the last 4 years. So that's why I used him as the example where I'm tired of watching him sit. It's because I was tired of the tank, and I believe in his ability to play at an all-star level. And yeah, we were having fun with his hair. Why? Because he's a way better looking guy than I am. And so he seems very personable. But the talent that he has is something that can lead this team to a decent playoff run for the first time in obviously since the All-Stars were traded away. play. So it has nothing to do with that he's dogging it by any stretch. And that's not the case. I think it was misrepresented. If you take a snippet of something and don't have the full context, it doesn't show up as it should. And the context is that using him as the example because he's the best player. And then when I said 17,000 people, they were tired of the tank and they want to see Lauri. They want to see Jaren Jackson and Keontae George. And if they re-sign Kessler, and whether it's Darren Peterson, DeMonta, or Boozer, they want to see these young men out there playing ball to the best of their ability. That's the point. So, and I don't have the best relationship with some people inside the Jazz organization. So I need to make sure that they understand that I am not taking shots at Lauri Markkanen. I think the guy's amazing. I've been watching him since he's a freshman at the University of Arizona in the Pac-10 or 12, whatever it was. And he was a high pick by the Cleveland Cavaliers. I know all about that, or Chicago Bulls. And I watched him in both places. And now he's at Utah and he has the opportunity to do some special things. So I am not taking shots at him that he's dogging it and purposely sat out because he did not want to play.
I get that. And now I'm going to tiptoe close to the line, PK. Oh, look out. Hold on. The notion that will he play this next season? And I'm going to double down on that and say, will Jaren Jackson Jr. play next season and how much? We've seen big guys who are asked to run and cut and all the things you're doing with 4 guys or 5 guys on the three-point line, and you're helping and you're racing all over the place. It takes a toll on big guys' bodies. Now, I'm with you. I totally agree. He was sitting in this past year and this past 4 years, not because he was hurt, maybe in just a small handful of cases he was, but most of the time it was the tank. It was the tank. It was the tank. It was the tank. But these two guys, Lauri and Jaren Jackson Jr., have been in the league a combined 17 years. And they've played 70 games in a season a combined 2 years. Now, tanking, sure. And they've both been in the league for a couple of years where there were only 72 games, but they played roughly 50 games or 55 games in those years. I think Jackson played maybe 57. So the way the game is going and their history, do I have a little bit of doubt in my mind that both of these guys are going to be available for 70 games next year? You bet I do. And I am super intrigued to see what happens if they re-sign Kessler and they put these 3 guys out there. The Jazz, typically, when they've had really good teams, they've been really good. They've been very skilled, but they have either had the same size or less size than the teams they've been going up against at some key positions. Stockton at 6 feet was going up against getting double teamed by 2 6'6" guys in the finals against the Bulls. It was a major disadvantage. The Lakers towered over the Jazz in the Carlos Boozer, Mehmet Okur era. And they were throwing 3 7-footers out there themselves. I'm super intrigued to see what happens. But when I got 2 guys, well, I guess you're throwing Kessler with a 3rd guy, but the 2 guys have 17 years, and they only have 2 times they played 70 games. And there's a few extenuating circumstances, and I'm factoring that in. Okay, with the pandemic, there were 2 years you didn't play a full schedule each. And they certainly were set because they were tanking here the last few years. 1 year for Jackson and 4. But nonetheless, when they're out there and asked to run and cut and jump for 75, I think there's a real thing going on here, or I don't think we'd see 4 guys hurt in a Western Conference Finals that everybody, including the 2 teams playing in, has been anticipating all season long. Everybody's been waiting for this. I know these guys want to be out there, and there's 4 guys I got questions about. And certainly some of them aren't going to be out there tonight when they play Game 3. So you bet I have questions about the Jazz next year. How could any of us not?
Yeah, that's fine.
How could any of us not?
We'll see what happens. That's why I said next year is a moment of truth for Lauri Markkanen. And if you want to put Jaren Jackson into that category, I'm absolutely fine with it, because then we get to see all things going forward towards the push of winning, and there'll be nothing that gets in the way of winning. And these past 4 years there were. I believe that he'll play enough to get the team in the playoff. I don't know that he's the best player anymore, which is a good thing, not a bad thing. This is not a shot at Lauri Markkanen. If Jaren Jackson is better, great. If Keontae George is better, great. That just means that the team is really good because Markkanen, no matter who is better than him, doesn't take away from the fact that he's a really good player and can do a lot of different things. But durability and availability are going to be an issue, as they are with all teams. LeBron, arguably the greatest player of all time, is talking about that his team was out-talented, and they were in large part because of Doncic not playing 1 second, and that sucks every which way. There's no doubt about it, and we'll see where it goes. And that's why, I'm super intrigued for the 26-27 season to get here as soon as it can, because I think it's going to be a wild ride one way or the other.
If you had Kessler in, they've played 3 70-game seasons in 21 years. Kessler played 74 his first year. Again, tank-induced, but when they need to play it, and when you start playing more games in the playoffs, are they going to be able to do it? And we're seeing 4 guys right now who apparently can't do it in the Thunder-Spurs series. All right, DJ and PK, we'll have more on this going forward. We got all summer to talk about this and obsess because October looks super interesting and much more exciting than it's looked like in a long time. When we come back, Pablo Mastroni joins us. David Locke at 8:30. Stay with us.
Summer is all about freedom, fun, and growing up. And between the ages of 9 and 13, kids are starting to form their views about alcohol. With more independence, their still developing brains need more guidance and support than ever. That's why summer is the perfect time to stay connected and plan fun, safe family activities together. Research shows kids who spend quality time with their parents doing what they enjoy are less likely to drink underage. And when kids feel close to you, they're more likely to listen, especially when you set clear expectations. In fact, kids who drink before 15 are far more likely to struggle with alcohol later. This summer, create a no-bummer summer with fun, alcohol-free activities for your kids. Go to summer.parentsempowered.org to take a quick quiz and discover ideas tailored to your family. A little time together can make a big difference. For more information and to learn more about how to prevent underage drinking, visit parentsempowered.org.